Welcome back to Champion News Talk Radio, brought to you by championnews.net. Before the break, we were talking to Stephanie and Laura about District 113A, and I started hearing something about attorneys and attorneys getting involved in FOIAs. Please continue what you were saying about some of that.
Well, what started with the FOIAs, and then I got to step back just a little bit in time, I guess, because I missed a part at the beginning, was there was a ballot error in 2009 where we had an appointment on the board for a seat that was left, and they appointed a new person to that seat, and they didn't want to give the taxpayers the right to choose who was going to be the next person sitting on that seat for that election. So the candidates that were running for school board wanted the voters to choose it, so they took it to court. And they had to have that seat put on the ballot so that the voters could choose who they wanted to sit in that seat. So that started the whole thing running then from that point in time. What happened is it ran into, after the election, the incumbent board members that were still sitting on the board decided to try to recall the election and have the results overturned.
On taxpayer dollars.
On taxpayer dollars, and the taxpayers were paying for it through the attorney invoices and the attorney bills. So requesting those and FOIAing those documents were important because you could see those documents, you could see the charges, and you could see what they were doing, because from the public interest in sitting at the meetings, that's done behind closed session doors. So we don't have any way of knowing what's going on in closed session, but through invoices, through legal invoices, and FOIAing them. So you have no choice. I have taken a big hit publicly through the media with doing FOIAs. And the people on the opposing side have wanted to attack me a lot and keep saying I'm costing the district money for my FOIAs. And my FOIAs cost a lot of funding, and that's taking it away from the kids' education. Whereas a parent and a taxpayer, I would like to know what's going on, and considering the board isn't telling us that information, the only avenue that we have as a taxpayer is to use the Freedom of Information Act.
To hold them accountable for the money that they're spending.
Let me stick an oar in the water here. There's a reason why they give a violent reaction to what you're doing, and that's because there's an immense gravy train running for the people that are running these districts, and even some of the teachers that are exploiting the thing. Those riots you saw up in Wisconsin are all about the fact that there's just a great deal of money going through the teaching system, the K-12 system in Illinois. You got to realize that 60% of your local tax bill is for the education of the district. You took the effrontery to want to take a position on it and talk about how they're spending your money. If you're worried about taxes, you got to be worried about education, because that's 60% of the tax bill. And of that 60%, 80% is for the wages of sin in that district, of the teachers and everybody else. The salaries are 80% of the cost of education, and that thing has soared so much that it got to where you couldn't pay the bill on the pensions that are resulting, because the pensions are tied to the salaries, and they exploit that astoundingly. Go to our website, championnews.net, read the articles by Bill Zettler, and you'll find out just how they are exploiting the taxpayer for their advantage. And this is going on, and the teachers union is in a vicious circle with it, because especially the IEA, all of these unions that are within the public system, who are working for where the employees are working on a government job, and then they got a union representing them. This is ruining the way things are done, because these unions have made themselves part of management. They have gotten large enough to do that, and that's causing really bad management is happening, because all they're trying to do is benefit their members, which keeps the union in place, and the dues that go from the members to the union are then spent by the union in political work, the propaganda they put out, the funding of candidates, the immense organization that you've got with the IEA particularly, which is a very socialist group. And really, they shouldn't be having such a function within education, because they are teaching your kids. Do you really want your kids taught by those people rioting in the streets and taking over the buildings up in Wisconsin? And do you think that isn't going to happen here if you affect how they get all this money and control over our government? There is no union in the state of Illinois that has anywhere near the power of the IEA. Down in Springfield, it all dances to the tune of the IEA. The Teamsters are pussycats and don't have much to say about it. But the IEA has everything to say about it. They went to such great excesses that the cost of the pensions, which is tied to the salaries got mammoth. The pensions went up hugely, and it got to where you couldn't pay that locally anymore. So the teacher pensions got pushed on up principally to being paid at the state level in 1998. These excesses of the political power of the teacher unions has resulted in careless spending on everything: salaries, pensions, fixing roofs, putting up buildings. We're heavily involved with that in the Champion News and in the Family Taxpayer Foundation for years, because we found out these people obscured the real truth about what they were doing. And we've had to go deep into the records at the state level in order to present what's happening with the salaries and pensions. It is bankrupting the state. The pensions of just the K-12 system alone are the worst in the United States. It is at least $70 billion in the hole and can never be paid. And they're putting out money. They're putting in what do you call it? They're buying bonds in order to pay this, because nobody, whether it's a portion of the salary they're putting in or of what the state is putting in, is never enough to keep up with the exploitation of what's going on in the salaries and pensions. So it's a horror that all these politicians downstate are afraid to be engaged in. So what you did is you went against a leviathan trying to get elected when those people have it so much to their advantage to protect the gravy train that they've got running down there.
You mean to tell me it's not about the children?
You know, about the kids. The kids are very necessary. They provide the excuse for these people being there.
Stephanie, tell me, when you got involved with this, some of the things that you uncovered and you unfolded from when you started opening your eyes to this school situation?
Well, the Lamont Tea Party decided to get involved on a local level. We, in the past, focused on the federal level and the presidential election and gubernatorial election and some of the other things. But because there was such a mystery as why the referendum jumped from $8 million to $20 million within 3 months, when they were asking for, when the first referendum was voted down, we decided there was something there that we needed to focus on and address. And so then we began to interview people that were involved, some of the candidates and the people on the side for the $20 million referendum. We actually interviewed them and got their take and understanding about why they were coming from the direction they were. And after that, we decided the community needed to know more about the truth. We were seekers of the truth, trying to uncover what this mystery is and this entanglement of ideas and two opposing sides. So we had a candidate forum where we invited all the candidates to speak. And then we were looking for a person that could handle the moderating it. None of us felt qualified to do that. And out of the blue, I called Dan Proft, and surprisingly enough, he said yes.
Nice.
And he said yes to 2 different dates that we had. So I just want you to know that, you know, there are a lot of people that feel the same way we do.
You know what? After the break, I'm looking forward to hearing what you have to say and what you uncovered.